I'm Jordan Belfort, and this is Sales School. All right, so if you're a business owner, do not let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud-based business system. NetSuite gives you the visibility and control over your financials, inventory, and more. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/school. All right, we are in the thick of it now. We are in the middle of our first loop. This is going to be a shorter lesson here, but a very important fact, probably one of the most crucial aspects of the straight line. That is addressing the second of the 3 10s. You, the salesperson. So where are we? We're through a location check. We're in the middle of our first loop. That means we're in the back half of the sale. You've asked for the order for the first time. You got hit with a common objection. You looped back by deflecting first. Right? I hear what you're saying, but does the idea make sense to you? Do you like the idea? They said, yeah, it sounds okay. And then you said, exactly. It really is a great idea. Then you use your pace lead to increase their emotional certainty. And the words that you said, your words, increase the logical certainty. So again, as I said at the end of the last lesson, in one swoop, you've increased their logical and emotional certainty for the first 10 to a much higher level. Probably above a 9 at this point, or close to a 9.5. You've done a good job here. If you've constructed a great first looping pattern for the product, right? And again, just to reiterate, your pattern for reselling the product, it picked up where your initial presentation left off, and you filled in all the details now. So those two patterns together, your initial presentation and your first loop, you've moved them to a very high level of logical certainty for the first 10, and emotional certainty has been increased using your tonality and pace lead. But, as I said, you do not want to ask for the order yet. Why? Because there's not only 1 10, there are 3 10s. All we've done so far is increased certainty for the first 10. So when I'm done, I say, John, you see what I'm saying now? Does it make sense to you? And they say, oh, no, yeah, I like it. I say, exactly. It really is a great idea. In fact, let me ask you another question. If you and I have been working together for the last 3 or 4 years, and again, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Let's say you're selling vitamins, insurance, real estate, cars. It doesn't matter. If I've been selling you, property after property, or car after car, or program after program, right? And every single one of them had just worked out perfectly. It did exactly what I said. It made you feel like $1 million or whatever the product is supposed to do. You probably wouldn't be saying, let me think about it, Jordan. You'd be saying, you know what, you're right, let's just get started right now. Is that true? In other words, what you said, John, is, listen, I understand, like you're saying, listen, if you and I had been doing business for a few years together, if I was your advisor, if I had a track record, you probably wouldn't be saying, let me think about it. And the reason that holds so much value right now, so much weight, is because you just moved them to a very high level of certainty for the first 10, and you got them to say out loud, yes, I love the idea. That's why it's so important that you end that first pattern for the first 10 saying, you see what I'm saying, John? Does it make sense? They say, yeah, no, I like it. I say, exactly. It really is a great idea. Now you've made a public admission, yes, I see what you see. I love the idea. Then you say, exactly, it's a phenomenal situation. In fact, let me ask you this, Jim, honestly. If I'd been working with you for the last 3 or 4 years, and making you money on a consistent basis, you probably wouldn't be saying, let me think about it right now. You'd be saying, Jordan, let me get started right now. Am I right? And if you say it the right way, using that tonality, it's like beyond obvious, you probably wouldn't be saying, you'd be saying just, pick up 1,000 chairs. Well, yeah, just let's get started right now. Am I right? 98% of the time, the prospect will say, yeah, well, then I will. Yeah, of course, obviously, than I would. For those very rare occasions where the prospect tries to hold on to the nonsensical notion that, no, it's not that. They're lying to you, and you're going to have to call them out on their bullshit. And you do that nicely but strongly. You're saying, wait a second, Jim, you mean to tell me if I put you into deal after deal after deal, or sold you house after house, or project after project, and every one had been a grand slam home run, and I came to you with this one today, you wouldn't just say, Jordan, how do I get started? Come on, honestly. And you know what he'll say then? Oh, well, yeah, well, then I would. And to make it sound like you changed your tune, but you didn't. He just you called him out on his bullshit, basically. So he'll say, yeah, well, then I would. Say, exactly. Now that I can understand. You don't know me. I don't have the luxury of a track record. So what you're saying is, Jim, I get it. Let me think about it. Here's the thesis. Just, you said let me think about it. I don't understand that. What does that mean? It's nonsensical, Jim. Come on, let me think about it. Well, what do you mean? What do you need to think about? No. The truth is, Jim, you now admit, now that you know you love my idea, you love the product, we got that. The truth is, you just don't know me. We don't have a track record, and that I understand. That's a valid concern you have. It really is. Because, your mommy told you when you were 5 years old, don't buy from strangers. All salespeople are losers, or they're going to try to rip you off. So they have this programming, and also in the person's defense, it does. Listen, you don't know the person. You might have just called them on the phone, knocked on their door. You don't know. So, they have no basis for trusting you. They don't know you. They have no basis for trusting you. So you want to dignify that with a receipt. Jim, I get that. I can understand. Well done, Jim. You've come clean with me. You told me the truth. It's not that you want to think about it, because that doesn't make sense, Jim. And I don't respect that. You're not saying that, but that's all the unspoken words. Jim, now that I can understand. You don't know me. We don't have a track record together. And now he's feeling, good, I'm off the hook. And now you're going to unleash one of the most powerful patterns of the straight line called the Forrest Gump pattern. And the reason I call it the Forrest Gump pattern is because I named it after that lovable character who basically found himself in the White House 3 times, in these impossible situations, but always somehow managed to end up on top. We call it the Forrest Gump pattern, right? And the reason I call it that is because when Forrest Gump was 5 years old and he's waiting for the school bus, you probably remember this scene. It's a great scene, right? The bus pulls up and Forrest is there in his little leg braces and he's looking at the bus and he's staring off into space like Forrest does, right? The bus pulls up, the doors open, Forrest looks at the driver and he freezes like a deer in the headlights. The driver looks down. She's this gruff-looking woman with a cigarette in her mouth, right? Her name's Dorothy. And he freezes. He doesn't get on the bus. And she goes, well, are you going to get on? Kind of a nasty voice. And Forrest says, my mom had told me not to talk to strangers, take a ride from strangers. And she's like, what the hell? She goes, well, this is the bus to school. But that doesn't help Forrest because it doesn't resolve his core problem. He doesn't know this woman. And because he doesn't know this woman, he has no basis for trusting her. So he just stands there. And then she goes, well, are you getting on? And then finally, Forrest, in his infinite wisdom, he comes up with a very simple way to break the deadlock. He says, well, my name's Forrest Gump. She says, well, my name's Dorothy. I'm your bus driver. He goes, well, I guess we're not strangers anymore. And he gets on the frickin' bus, right? And just like that, he walks on. And we laugh when we see that. But here's the deal. Ironically, that's how people learn to trust each other. Someone says, you know what? Trust me because here's who I am and I am trustworthy. So when I say this, when you don't know me, you say, now that I can understand you don't know me, I don't have a track record. Let me take a moment to reintroduce myself. Again, my name is Jordan Belfort, and now I'm going to actually tell them who I am, what I stand for, what my values are, how hard I work for my clients, what degrees I've attained, what training I have, all my values, and how I plan on being there for them through good times and bad. I want to be an asset to them for the long time. I tell them who, I say, you know what? here's who I am and here's why you can trust me. Tell them you're trustworthy. If you want someone to trust you, say, here's why you can trust me. Let me tell you who I am. My name's Joe. I'm a senior vice president. I'm working at blah, 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 whatever and then what you're going to work with with facilitators is I'm going to want you to write that out beforehand. I want you to come up with what's called your Forrest Gump pattern. A Forrest Gump pattern is, what could you say about yourself? How do you explain yourself? Well, you have a way of explaining your product. Guess what? You have to sell yourself too. So why should you try to wing that? No. I want you to prepare that. I want you to have not just one thing to say about yourself, but I want you to have three. Three patterns, three ways to talk about yourself that are all equally compelling, that build one on top of the other. And by doing that, you actually take someone who doesn't trust you, you say, let me take a moment to tell you why you should. You tell them who you are, and just like that, something really strange happens. Human beings, we have this way, we either distrust more than we should, or we trust more than we should. The key is that pendulum of trust, it's either in one place or another. The idea is we have to get it swinging in the right direction. Once it starts to swing, it swings quickly, wholly, and violently. And someone will go from not trusting you to completely trusting you in 30 seconds. It's bizarre, but that's the way it is. And that's why if you're selling out in the field, in homes or business, you can go in homes when you're selling at home from someone who's violent when you walk, like they just very nasty when you walk in the door. And 15 minutes later, they're cooking you a 5-course meal and calling you their friends. That was par for the course for me when I sold in homes. I'd have people who were very suspect of me, and then 20 minutes later, I'm at the table, their best friend, they're serving me pasta, and they're calling through their phone book to get me referrals. Why? Because I used my Forrest Gump pattern to get the pendulum of trust swinging, and once it swung wholly, violently, and fully to total trust. And just like that, bam, I now have myself a potential close. So now watch what we've done. This is one loop, so we're still in our first loop. We took a common objection. We used it as an opportunity to do what? We looped back. We built more certainty for the first 10. We then transitioned to our Forrest Gump pattern, which was our second 10. Will we ask for the order? No, not yet. We still have 1 10 to go.